If you have bought eggs in Europe your whole life, they are sitting on a shelf at room temperature at the supermarket, right next to the bread and the pasta and the fruit, completely unrefrigerated, exactly where they have always been. And if you have bought eggs in America, you know that basically none of that applies here, because American eggs are always in the refrigerated section, and leaving a washed American egg on a room temperature counter for more than 2 hours means the FDA and the CDC both say you should throw it away. Same product, completely opposite instructions. And the reason why is one of the most genuinely fascinating food safety stories that most people on both sides of this debate have never actually heard in full. Before we get into it, drop your answer to this in the comments right now. How many cases of foodborne illness does the United States have every year from salmonella-contaminated eggs? The real number is approximately 79,000, confirmed by the FDA and the CDC, with around 30 deaths annually. What happens in Europe with unwashed room temperature eggs will genuinely surprise you regardless of which side of the Atlantic you grew up on. The reason American eggs must be refrigerated and European eggs do not comes down to a single moment in the life of every egg that leaves the farm. In America, the USDA mandates that all commercially sold eggs go through an industrial washing process involving pressure sprays, rotating brushes, hot water, soap, and sanitizing chemicals including chlorine and ammonia. This washing removes surface bacteria and produces a visually spotless egg that meets grade A and grade AA standards. But it also removes something else entirely, the cuticle, also called the bloom, a thin, invisible protective layer that every hen deposits on the egg at the exact moment it is laid. The cuticle seals the pores of the eggshell, prevents bacteria from entering, and lets oxygen circulate naturally. Once you wash it off, the egg is essentially unprotected, and it must be kept cold to slow the bacterial growth that can now penetrate the exposed shell. That cold chain, the unbroken sequence of refrigeration from packing facility to supermarket to your fridge, is not optional once the cuticle is gone. It is the entire system. In Europe, the approach starts much earlier in the process and reaches the opposite conclusion. European countries vaccinate their chickens against salmonella, specifically targeting both Salmonella enteritidis and Salmonella typhimurium, the two primary strains responsible for egg-related illness, which means the bacteria is far less likely to reach the egg in the first place. In the United Kingdom, the majority of this is organized through the British Lion Quality Mark, a certification scheme covering more than 90% of United Kingdom eggs, under which every hen in the program is vaccinated before she ever lays a single egg. Eggs carrying the British Lion Mark are not washed commercially, so the cuticle stays completely intact. The egg's natural defense remains in place, and refrigeration is simply not necessary. In Ireland, it is actually illegal to wash certain grades of eggs. In European supermarkets, eggs sit on unrefrigerated shelves exactly the way apples or tomatoes do, and honestly, for Americans visiting Europe for the first time, this is genuinely alarming. While for Europeans visiting America and finding eggs in the refrigerator next to the milk, it is deeply confusing in a way that is hard to explain if you have never experienced it yourself. Now here is the number that makes this debate genuinely complicated rather than just interesting. The United States has approximately 79,000 cases of foodborne illness and 30 deaths per year from salmonella-contaminated eggs, confirmed by the FDA and the CDC. The United Kingdom, which does not wash its eggs and does not refrigerate them, had approximately 100 salmonella illnesses related to eggs across the entire 3-year period from 2017 to 2020. That is not a small difference. That is a difference of several orders of magnitude, and it is the number that Europeans reach for immediately when Americans tell them their room temperature eggs are dangerous. The response from the American Food Safety Establishment is that the refrigeration system produces the highest quality eggs over longer periods of storage, with USDA research published in Poultry Science confirming that American refrigerated eggs maintain the best quality after 15 weeks. Both sides have data, both sides have a genuine point, and yet the two systems could not be more different in their fundamental assumptions about where food safety actually starts. The egg debate crossed from food science into geopolitics during the Brexit negotiations, when British supermarkets raised the question of whether American chlorine-washed chicken and eggs would be allowed into the UK market under any future trade deal with the United States. The answer from the European Union was unambiguous. European Union food safety regulations specifically prohibit the import of American washed eggs precisely because the washing process that America considers essential for safety is the exact same process that Europe considers a violation of natural food integrity. Those discussions have continued into 2025 as US and UK trade talks have again brought food safety standards back to the table, with washed eggs and chlorinated chicken remaining among the most contentious unresolved items. Two of the world's largest trading partners, two governments with sophisticated food safety systems, two completely opposite conclusions about the same egg, and the debate is still unresolved because American washed eggs remain banned in the European Union to this day. And honestly, the cultural gap runs deeper than just the supermarket shelf. NPR food scientist Yi Chen from Purdue University noted that the American preference for washing eggs may have as much to do with aesthetics as safety, pointing out that in North America we like to have everything super clean, and that preference for visual cleanliness likely drove the washing system long before anyone fully understood what the cuticle was or what removing it would mean for storage. In France, as food scientist Vincent Guillonnet told NPR, a dirty egg with traces of the farm on it is simply no big deal and you just brush it off when you get home. That difference in attitude toward what an egg should look like when you buy it is, in some ways, the entire story of why these two completely different systems exist side by side in the modern world without either one convincing the other to change. Here is the escalation that puts everything into its sharpest focus. If you buy an egg in America and leave it on your kitchen counter for more than 2 hours, the FDA says you should throw it away. If you buy an egg in France and leave it on your kitchen counter for 3 weeks, it is still considered perfectly safe to eat. The same product, completely opposite instructions, and the reason is not that one egg is inherently safer than the other in its natural state, but that the American washing process removed the egg's natural protection and then invented a mandatory cold chain to replace what washing took away, while Europe never removed the protection in the first place. All right, let us go back to the question from the start. How many cases of foodborne illness does the United States have every year from salmonella-contaminated eggs? The answer is approximately 79,000, confirmed by the FDA and the CD, with around 30 deaths annually, while the United Kingdom, protected largely through the British Lion Quality Mark vaccination program targeting Salmonella enteritidis and Salmonella typhimurium, had approximately 100 salmonella egg illnesses over 3 full years without washing or refrigerating a single egg. Both countries are trying to solve the same problem and just doing it in completely opposite directions while arguing about who is right from in front of very different supermarket shelves. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the American egg washing system makes eggs safer, or does the European approach of leaving the cuticle intact make more sense to you? And if you are European and you have opened an American refrigerator for the first time, what was your reaction when you found the eggs in there? Drop it in the comments because this one is going to divide the room between food scientists, home cooks, and everyone who has ever wondered why their hotel breakfast eggs taste different in different countries. If you liked this video, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the culture clash between Europe and America never stops at the dinner table, and there are plenty more dishes left to serve.